All right, gang, so today we are going to go over the Zapier Sub-zap. This is a great tool that Zapier has, but I have not found any good videos. I just found one that was even worth watching, videos about the Zapier Sub-zap, the feature, which is super helpful. I've tried to use it a few times and was never successful, but I finally cracked the code. I understand where I was going wrong and why it wasn't working. And if you've had that frustration or anything like that, this is a video for you for sure, because again, this is just a super helpful tool. So when to use the Zapier Sub-zap. If you find yourself making the same step in many zaps, this is an indicator that you should use the Sub-zap. So the situation for me is I was actually using the application called close.com, and the way that we had it set up, if you wanted to add a new lead and create an opportunity, it was literally a 5-step zap. And we had lots of different lead sources coming in. So we had lots of different zaps that were all pushing into close. And so every zap, I had to make these five steps for this zap. And so now with a sub-zap, I can have one sub-zap that has all those 5 actions in it. And then I can have all the different lead sources coming in, and I only need to create the lead source, and then I can send the information to that other zap, and then all the actions happen in the other zap. That way I don't have to make it over and over again. That was the use case for me, but I'm going to go over 2 use cases in this video. Let's go over use case 1. So use case 1 looks like this. Let's say that you've got a gravity form. And on that gravity form, let's say it's on your support page, you're collecting the name, the email, the phone, and you've got a request field where you let them make a request. And when this form is filled out, you want to post all that information into a Slack channel. And you're going to use Zapier to do that. So here's your Zap. Now, the only thing is that we also want to put the assigned rep with this information as well. And we don't have that assigned rep information coming in off the gravity form, so we have to pull that out of close.com. So now we've got the assigned rep, we need to pull that out of close.com before we post it into Slack. So the normal way to do this is you would just go ahead and put another step in your Zap that would go and look for that contact and close, right? So it'd say find contact and close, right? And you would use the email address to find that contact or the opportunity, find out who it's assigned to, and then you could push that information down into Slack. But let's say that you've got several different pages with different forms, and we need to pull the assigned rep from close for all of these forms. Now, instead of creating this zap over and over again, or this step in the zap over and over again, now you can use a sub-zap instead. When you create a sub-zap, you need to have a second zap. There's Zap A and Zap B. So Zap A, we've got the gravity form, we've got the post to Slack, and then over here in the sub-zap, we're going to find whatever we're looking for in close.com. Then we're going to get the assigned rep, the state, the industry, like whatever other information we needed to get from close, and then eventually push it back over here into Zap 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to do that, right? In order to create a sub-zap, there are always 3 elements in a sub-zap, okay? The first element is the start sub-zap, which is going to be over here in Zap B. The second element is a sub-zap call, which needs to be in Zap A. And then finally, the last step is a return from sub-zap, which needs to be in Zap B. Where I was getting confused before is that I didn't understand why I needed the return, but like in this use case, it makes perfect sense. And as you could probably tell, when you create these zaps, you're gonna have to go back and forth between these 2 zaps before you can complete or publish either one of the zaps. That could be a little confusing. Let's go ahead. We're going to talk about use case 1. I'm going to actually open this up in Zapier and show you what it looks like. Okay, so here in Zapier, I've got these two zaps set up. So this is use case 1, UC1. This is the gravity form going to Slack, and then this is the sub-zap, and it's looking into close. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open up the gravity forms one first. And so when you create this, what you're going to want to do is go through all the gravity form steps, right, and get all the way to the last step where you are doing the test. So that way you can test and pull in data from a form that was submitted. So go as far as running the test on the first zap, and then we need to go over to Zap B. Okay, so in Zap B, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up the sub-zap. So I've already called it in, right? So it's just sub-zap. And what we're going to do here is we're going to look for a start a sub-zap. Okay, continue. Okay, so what it's looking for now is it's asking what information am I going to be receiving from the other zap. Okay, so again, from the gravity forms, right, we're trying to, we're trying to use this gravity form to find somebody enclosed. So the information that we're going to use to find them is probably going to be the email address. So what we do is we just literally just type in email. And since it's required, we're just going to go ahead and put required here. If there's any other information that we want to pull in, let's just imagine that we need to bring in the phone number as well. Then you just click that little more button right there, and then we could say email, and let's say that we want to bring in name and phone. Okay, we don't necessarily need those, but just so that you can see, you can bring in as much data as you need. Okay, then you hit continue, and now it wants to test, but we can't test it yet. So now we have to go back to Zap A. Okay, and in Zap A, I'm going to go ahead and add in something in between the two steps that I already have here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in sub-zap. Okay. And in this case, we're going to do a call, right? So call a sub-zap. And continue. Here we have to select the account, and then we have to select the sub-zap, right? So that's the other one that we've created already. I've already called this one UC1, so I know which one it is. So that's literally just the name of this sub-zap right here. Then when it knows which sub-zap it is, it then pulls in those fields. So we've got the email, name, and phone. And again, where it's pulling that information from is right here where it says email, name, and phone. And the email field is required. And it even tells us that it's required here. And so from here, you would just put in the information that you get from gravity forms. And just like you would with a normal zap. Once you pull that information in, then you can go ahead and hit continue and test it. And once you hit continue and test, then you can come back over here and you can hit the test here and all the information will come in. Then you can go ahead and set up whatever actions you need here. So if you need to find and close, you set up all the actions, you find all the information that you need to find. And you can have, there's no limit to the number of actions that you can run in between here. So you can add as many actions as you need. And then we need to create the last piece. So again, I'm going to search for sub-zap. And this time we are going to put in a return from sub-zap. Continue, and now it's the output value. And so we need to put in the output value. So in this case, I would put assigned rep, and then I could pull the assigned rep from close. And any other things I need, so I can add more. Maybe I need to get state and industry. Okay, and whatever other information I want to pull out, because maybe I don't need it for this zap, but maybe I need it for some other zaps that I'm running. And so I can pull all that information in here and then continue and, test it and all that good stuff. Then when I come back over here, when I come down to the Slack part, I can go to the account. I actually don't have an account set up, but I will be able to pull data from this section here. It will be pulling the data that is in the return from here. So I'll be able to pull the assigned rep, the state, and the industry, and I will be able to pull all that information into whatever I have going on here. Okay, I went ahead and paused this and I added a Google Sheet just so that you could see what it would look like. So after the call zap, I can pull things from that call zap, and so I could just come down here into my Google Sheet, into any of the things here, and now you could see that there would be options from the call zap here. And again, this would be pulling from over here from this other zap. It's pulling from the return. Okay, so that is how everything looks, where you have a call zap that reaches out to zap B, where you've got the sub zap, run some actions, and then you can take the information from this other zap, push it back into the sub zap, and then put it down here, so that when you have multiple zaps that you're running, instead of recreating this piece every single time, you can just add in a sub zap and then all those actions run. Okay, so that is use case 1. So now let's talk about use case 2, which is where I really used it. So let's say that you've got several lead sources, ClickFunnels, maybe you got Facebook lead ads, and just several other lead sources, and we want to have a sub-zap that puts all those into, let's say, close.com. So in my specific use case, we had like 5 different things here, and I didn't want to have to rebuild these things every single time we had a new lead source. What I was able to do is create this sub-zap that pushes over here, and it goes through all those steps. Now, in order to publish a sub-zap, it needs to have the return on there. So let me just go ahead and move this over here. It needs to have the return from sub-zap on here in order to publish it. Now, in this case, this is the end of the action. I don't need anything else to happen after we take these actions, but I still need to have this return in here. So you just need to go through the motions and set it up, and essentially this will go nowhere. So I don't need this to go back here to run the next actions, but I still need to set it up. In that case, how it looks is like this. Now, let's say I got something coming in from ClickFunnels, I've got something coming in from Facebook, and I need them to go through the sub-zaps. The second step is always exactly the same. I'll go into this ClickFunnels one. So the first step is everything comes in from ClickFunnels, but then the second step is going to be the sub-zap call. And in this case, the sub-zap is going to call this one, use case 2, right? So it's just going to call the other sub-zap, and that'll be it. So that's pretty much the end of this. Then what I need to do is go to the other sub-zap. So I will pause and go. Okay, so I just went into ClickFunnels, and then I created the sub-zap, and now we're going to go over here to use case 2, where we've got sub-zap, and it's going to run through a bunch of steps. So I've got that open right here. So now we've got the start sub-zap, right? Same thing that's happening here, where we're just going to take the email that you're going to put in required. Yeah, okay. And whatever other information you need, you'll just collect all the information that you're getting from those leads that are coming in. And then you'll hit continue. And then in our case, right, we needed to find the lead in close first to see if they already existed. If they didn't exist, then it would create a new lead. Then it would look for the opportunity. If that didn't exist, then we create an opportunity. Then we'd update the opportunity in the correct stage. And then we would add a note. These are all the things that we were doing in there. And then at the end of all this, even though that's the last thing we need to do, that's, as far as we're concerned, that's ready, Zapier still needs to have that return. So we just come in here, sub-zap, right? And this was the piece that was messing me up when I was trying to put this together. I couldn't understand that it needed this return because I didn't need it to do anything. But it needs to have the return in there. And then you could just put in whatever you want. Okay, so I can just say ID, and then you can pull it in from any of these other sub-zaps. You just stick something in there, and you don't need you only need one thing in there. Then you hit continue, and then you can test action, and that will allow you to then publish. So if you don't have the return, it won't publish, and it acts a little wonky. So a lot of times what was happening to me is that I would publish it and it would show that it was published, and then I would run a zap to try to test it. And when I came back in, the zap was turned off. And I couldn't understand what was going on, but it kept turning itself off. So you have to have the return in here to make sure that this thing is on. Okay, so again, this one is just a sub zap. Start the sub zap, and then you've got the return, and that return just has dummy fields in it that go nowhere. And then again, you can have all of these leads coming from all these different places, and they all go through these same steps here. And it just makes your life a million times easier if you have to make as many zaps as I do. So hopefully this was super helpful, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. And leave any questions or comments in the comments area, and I will be glad to answer them. All right, take care.